And we welcome you back to MidPoint. We started off by talking about this letter that Tom Cotton and 46 of his Senate colleagues have sent over to the Ayatollah and Iran's leadership, telling them not to bother with a nuclear deal because the terms won't last past President Obama. Well, Israel's Arab Party also is seeking to make a big change in parliament. We've shown you some protests inside Israel, folks saying it's time for Benjamin Netanyahu to go, and a murdered Russian sets off a conspiracy theory that maybe just be crazy enough to believe as true. Welcome back to MidPoint, and joining us now on MidPoint is conservative talker, as well as a spokesman and strategist and writer, Josh Bernstein. We got a lot to talk about here. Josh, I want to begin with that letter that Tom Cotton signed. I was a little bit surprised. I know the Republican Party wants to put some fresh faces out there, but it came from a freshman senator.
Well, Tom Cotton has done a remarkable job in the short amount of time that he's been a senator. They've done a great job in Arkansas electing someone with such good stature, as well as the promise that he could be almost similar to another Ted Cruz. So really pleased to see the amount of activity that he has done and has really been out there at the forefront as a leader for the Republican Party, because obviously, as we can see, it is certainly needed at this time.
Now, I get some criticisms of this move by the Republicans and Cotton and the other folks who have signed on to this letter is that it smells almost like warmongering.
Well, I think what's interesting is that back in 2002, when the Colin Powell, the former Secretary of State, Colin Powell, was working on a nuclear proliferation agreement with the Russians, then Senator Joe Biden, who was the head of the Foreign Relations Committee, also sent a letter saying, hey, that Congress should be involved in the oversight of this process. So it's very interesting that this administration now, as they've done with numerous other things out there, have not included Congress in the negotiating factors. And for the American people and for our American government, for the folks that are out there, they need to know what is being negotiated behind closed doors. Is this going to be something that will be detrimental to Israel's existence? Will it be something that eventually could be detrimental to America's existence? You know, allowing the Iranians to have the capacity to gain nuclear weapons is certainly not in the interest of Israel nor America, for that matter.
Yeah, and the concern, of course, is who else will want one next if this moves forward. Let's talk a little bit, too.
It could trigger off an arms race.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where we seem to be headed. Let's leave that aside if we can. You know, nuclear holocaust in Europe and elsewhere, if we can leave that topic aside for a second. I do want to talk also about the story we talked about a little bit, push for change in Israel, at least in the political structure there. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's amazing that the far left, if you will, in Israel, it seems to be just as powerful as the far left is in America. And what I find really funny is they're using the same moniker that the left has come to power in America, talking about hope and change. I believe they say Israel is ready for change. Their grievances are very similar to leftist policies here in America. Spread the wealth around, you know, health care for everyone, kind of the same collectivist attitude, if you will. And so I think that, you know, in the end, the Likud party should hopefully hold out. But again, 10,000 people, you know, yelling for his resignation and for him to be replaced as the leader, I think is pretty powerful. And there's a lot of factions, there's a lot of parties, there's a lot of things that are going on. They just changed the rules in the Knesset to where now you need to go to 3.5% of the vote instead of 2% of the vote in order to form any type of you know, coalition or any kind of governing for a minority faction in the Knesset. So I think that's leading into this as well, and the fact that they did not like the fact that he came here on Speaker Boehner's invitation to speak with the American Congress.
Well, we have the ultimate factor to tell us what's going to happen. The election is right around the corner. We'll see what takes place with Prime Minister Netanyahu and his Likud party. Josh Bernstein, thanks so much for being with us on our News Wrap. Pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure.
All right, well, that's going to do it for me here on MidPoint today. I just want to say thank you to the entire team of producers, editors, and everyone behind the scenes for helping put on this fantastic show here on Newsmax TV. And hopefully Ed will be back very soon because we sure do miss him, and I'm just a shadow of Ed Berlin. We'll have more coverage coming up for you here on Newsmax TV. Steve Malzberg is live from New York, coming up right after this. Remember to always consider the source.